I was studying this video and making some decisions about some changes. And I wasn't looking at the return to launch circle correctly, in my humble opinion. It seems to be in radians. It even says it now that I've gone back and looked at the mission planner, that it is the radius. And I had actually just set it too big. And one of the ways I decided to look into this was after that short flight yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. I went back and looked at this video. It makes two circles of not home. It may be a return to home or return to launch, but it's not circling that, because that purple symbol right here, or in the center of that circle, is a rally point that I'm using instead of let it circle home. So you can see it's kind of finishing up that circle enough where I could go up on Google Map and measure across that circle, the diameter of that circle, and I found it to be 200 yards, 200 meters. I'm going, wait a minute, I put 100 in the mission planner. Well, if we go back and look at mission planner now, and we scroll down to waypoint loader RAD, that stands for radius. I've kind of said that in my mind, and the definition of it says defines the distance from the waypoint center. It's not the diameter of the circle. It's half the diameter of the circle. The plane will maintain during a loiter. It uses this value also, pretty sure, when it does a return to home, return to launch. If you set this value to a negative number, then the loader direction will be counterclockwise instead of clockwise. So that's not the important part here. Right, here's the important part. Defines the distance from the waypoint center to the edge of the circle. The radius, just like waypoint max radius down here is written out. They must have a length problem on their variables. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Ew, that's kind of a strange. It's not a multiple of 8. Anyway, here's another one, waypoint radius. This one's set to 90 meters. These are the default. This one was defaulting at 60. And it did work for the mini Talon at 60, which I was thinking of that as a 60 meter diameter circle. It's in fact not. At 60, it's a 120 meter diameter circle, which is a whole lot bigger than when I thought it was a 60 meter circle. So I'm going to set this back to default for my next outing, and I surely will do the Nano Talon way. I don't know about the Sky Hunter. Yeah. Maybe set it to 75. Maybe that's what I should do with this right now. I'm going to set it back to the 60 because I want to see what happens here. I have to change this on my notebook ground station so it's with me. Now also, for these flights, like I say, I've been using this rally point, and I set this rally point out in the field. Right here's where we park the cars. So I set this rally point out here in the field. It was approximately, and it almost worked out perfectly if we went back to that other video, when the circle was 200 meters in diameter. This was the center point right here. And the circle was coming right through here behind the car. So meters, yards, not the same thing. A little difference here. Probably this needed to be moved out there, and then the circle would have been coming straight across us, something like that. But I used that rally point so that the whole circle, all the way out through here, whoops, with this about, needs to be about right here, because the edge of that circle was coming to this patch right through here. It was going out near this canal, and it was going behind the flight line. So it was kind of a big circle like this. And like I say, when I measured it on Google Earth, it was 200 meters across. That's when I went back and went, oh, damn. That talks about radius, not diameter. It's talking about the radius, what you want the radius of your circle. Waypoint loiter, radius, half the diameter. So I'm also seeing 60 meters from where we parked towards these high voltage power lines only is about right out here. It's not even halfway to those power lines, if all this does work out. At 60, I can remove this waypoint. Right, waypoint. It's a rally point. In truth, it's a rally point. If you set rally points, everybody does RDO and copter and plane knows you can set. You can come out here. Oops. With this way, I can come out here and set rally points here, oops, here, come on, here. Let's see if we can get rid of that one. We'll move it. We'll put it way up here for kicks and friends. What happens with rally points is if you hit return to launch, wherever the platform is, it will go to the nearest rally point. Or if return to launch is the nearest point, I think it goes actually to return to launch. But if it's closer to one of these rally points at that instant than it is to home launch, it will begin to orbit these rally points. So to make the return to launch circle out, the whole circle out in front of me, I created a rally point. The first time it was over this ditch the first time, which meant that even that 200-yard circle was almost 100 yards, the length of a football field, away from me on its nearest corner to start with for the first flight. That's why I pulled this rally point back in this area for this flight. But I went with the 100-meter radius circle, which is a 200-meter circle around this point. So I was coming out to here and coming out to here. I'm going to cut that back down to 60 meters, which will give me a 120-meter circle. Well, here, let's look at it real quick. Here. First time I flew, I had it set to 60, and I centered it right over this mark. I don't want, oops, heaters. and it was set to 60 for a radius. But you see, if you measure this line real quick, at 60 meters, 60.64, I'm not that precise, from this side of the circle. Come on. This side of the circle. Okay. Guess I can't be on the circle. To this side of the circle, through the center. You can see that is 125 meters, twice the 60 it was set at. And what that did was that gave me a circle way. Let's look at how far it was away from me on its nearest edge was. From here to here, 177 meters away. A football field and a half. No wonder I didn't do so good with it. So then I pulled that circle back to right here with the rally point. I changed my rally point from here to here, and that same circle at 100 was changed to 100 meters. And you can see, I was talking about it coming through that patch on the other map, almost going out to this canal and being behind us. That, in fact, is a 200-meter diameter circle. So if I quit using the rally point out in this field and just go with a straight return to launch, return to home, and do a 60-meter circle, 60-meter radius of a 120-meter circle, a football field and one end zone. Not both end zones, just one. That's quite a distance. You see, that gets me halfway to those high voltage power lines out here, which hopefully means I won't have to worry about them. I am then going to have the platform orbiting me. Hopefully my distance to the platform at any given instant will be 60 meters. I think that's going to be better for me. Shoot, like I say, looking at the one line, first flight from here out to the edge of that thing was 150, 160 meters away. So I think this circle will be better, and let it orbit around the true launch, true home, instead of using the rally point out in the field. I'm not going to use that rally point anymore. I think, if you remember right, I didn't record my screen. I had to go with what I remembered when I surveyed the height of these towers, which are taller than the power lines, of course, at about 80 feet. Probably need to take the Mavic Mini back and do that again. I had been using a return to home altitude of 150 feet. I'm thinking about dropping that down to 100 or 120. So far, I'll do 120 first. Drop it down 30 more feet. That's 3657 centimeters. Let's see. So this value right here, I want to drop that another, what do we, 100. Well, seeing it's not going to get anywhere near the power lines if my calculations work out, let's go ahead and drop it down to 100. Let's just be really easy on these old eyes. Let's orbit myself for a change. I've orbited twice out in the field. On the far side of the circle, it was pretty bad. So we'll orbit myself and we'll drop down 50 feet. We'll cut the height by 33 1/3%. So 3,048 centimeters is 100 feet. So we've changed the altitude. Oops. Need to get this search term out of there. And we have changed the diameter. We're actually changing the radius of our circle right here. Waypoint, loiter, rad. From the center to the outside of the circle. I was thinking of that as the diameter of the circle. So we changed that back to its default 60 meters, which hopefully will give me a 120 meter circle. Almost as if you're standing on the 50-yard line at a football field and you're seeing both 10 yards into both end zones is how I'm visualizing this now. And along with no waypoint. We'll just take away the waypoints completely. I think I'm probably going to fly tomorrow. It's the only day that for a week that's going to be anywhere near good to fly. And I'm going by what the local weather reporter says and what the UAV forecast app tells me. And it's all mostly due to wind. I hope by bringing this return to home loiter back over my head and going around me as its center point will have the craft a whole lot closer to me. I will be able to see a whole lot more of what's going on with it, which I think will calm me down a lot. And should I want to go into fly-by-wire mode or something like that, because it's closer to me in both distance and altitude, I think I'm going to break in and out of that. We'll call it a home loiter circle. My understanding and what I've been told by others is that's also going to be the circumference. No, that's the distance from a point all the way around the circle back to that point. We're not going to be doing circumference. The diameter of the loiter will be the same, 60 meters radius, 120 meter diameter. And I'll let some of these come up on the field and I'll come back in and measure them with Google Earth after the fact again. So I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure at this moment I will fly tomorrow. It depends on how late I'm up, how early I get up, and what the winds look like tomorrow. I'm not going to say I won't. I'm not going to 100% say I will at this time. I am going to make sure I go out in much less winds than I went out in yesterday. And from what Walter told me, he took his drone up to 200 feet, I believe. We'd kind of set a tentative flight plan that he was going to stay well above me with his brand new drone, expensive drone, very nice one too. He said the winds at 200 feet were just a whole lot worse than they were at the ground. I only went up to 150 feet. Well, that's what the way return to home altitude was set at. I went back and looked at it after the fact, and there was times it was up to 178 feet and as low as 138 feet. Not sure it had time to settle down because it only made like 1.5 to 2 circles. But anyway, I'll figure this out more in the morning when I wake up and see what's going on outside. Thank you guys.